In this module, you will learn about definition of market survey, common methods used for surveying, and steps of a market survey. Let us begin the session with the definition of market survey. In order to complete the current market scenario, it is essential for an organization to maintain the day-to-day information for its long-term survival. Often considered almost synonymous to market research, market survey is a method or technique that is used for collecting the information required to perform marketing research. One must, however, not forget that the market survey is just one method of gathering information essential for the marketing research task. It is mainly used if the required information is not available from the company's internal records and the external published sources. Since the activity of market survey amounts a lot towards the collection of data in reference to the problem on hand, it has to be an organized and in-depth approach which has to include every detail and activity which deals with extracting the information not only for the first time but also from the sources directly. Common methods used for surveying. It is known as a survey when you actually speak to the target audience. It can be conducted through the following methods: personal interviews, telephonic interviews, direct mail interviews, fax or email interviews, online interviews, questionnaire development, and field work. Let us now learn about the steps in a market survey. A survey is a technique which differs depending on the one who is conducting it and the audience. The investigator has to decide, while considering his or her objectives, the best way to survey and extract out information. An entrepreneur has to ensure that the surveying technique is optimum for the one being surveyed. Some companies hire a professional to conduct such surveys, while small entrepreneurs do it by themselves. Conducting a survey requires the following steps. Step 1. Planning the survey. Step 2. Fieldwork. Step 3. Analysis and interpretation of data. Step 4. Report making. Let us look at each of these steps in detail. Step 1. Planning the survey. The entrepreneur must first decide what information is needed from the market. Planning the survey requires an entrepreneur to define the problem accurately and clearly, choose the most suitable way to conduct the survey, like personal interview and telephonic interview. Decide the area and extent of the study. This means that he or she must identify the magnitude of the study, that is, whether he or she should survey each and every unit of the market. For example, choosing the census survey or conducting the survey on some selected units or variables and applying the result to the universe, that is, sampling. Questionnaire development. This step requires the entrepreneur to be resourceful and experienced. He or she should carefully string together his or her wordings and should keep in mind the complexity of the questions. He or she must discuss it with the management team and make sure it provides the information he or she needs based on his or her objectives. Step 2. Fieldwork. Fieldwork demands high managing, administrative, and research skills. Thus, the entrepreneur must ensure that investigators in the fieldwork are scientifically recruited or correctly trained for this work. It is correctly supervised. The time schedule should be closely followed. Responses are honestly and accurately recorded. Data must be collected in a meticulous manner. Step 3. Analysis and interpretation of data. The raw data is of no use. The entrepreneur must tabulate the gathered data either by hand or using a software and analyze it, filtering out the useless data that has been gathered, and must make sure that the data is edited, tabulated, processed, and interpreted, statistical analysis and interpretations recorded. If the entrepreneur is not capable of doing this work by himself or herself, he or she should seek expert advice. It is important to have the ability to understand and analyze what the information basically conveys. Step 4. Report making. This is the last step, which involves summarizing the gathered findings and recommendations. This report consists of the key research points of the study, a summary of the things revealed by the research, along with a list of recommendations that can ensure the growth and success of the company. This report helps the entrepreneurs for taking any business decision. A market survey which uses the principles of the scientific method like careful observation, formulation of hypothesis, prediction, and experience is said as the best survey. In this module, you have learnt market survey is a method or technique that is used for collecting the information required to perform marketing research. Market survey is mainly used if the required information is not available from the company's internal records and the external published sources. Market survey can be conducted through the following methods: personal interviews, telephonic interviews, direct mail interviews, fax or email interviews, online interviews, questionnaire development, and field work. Conducting a survey requires the following steps. Step 1. Planning the survey. Step 2. Fieldwork. Step 3. Analysis and interpretation of data. Step 4. Report making.